to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Announcements, awards, special recognition, we have none. Public comment. Before we start in our public comment section of tonight's meeting, I have a brief comment that I'm going to share regarding one of our agenda items tonight and some pretty shocking misinformation that's out on social media. So bear with me. My topic of conversation relates to the annexation study that is on our agenda tonight. The item before council tonight is simply to authorize a professional study that will evaluate our municipal boundaries and analyze potential annexation areas from a land use perspective. We have several borders in lots of different directions. This study is not tied to any specific property or a development or a project or a proposal. Council started talking about a boundary study or an annexation study in 2023. It's typical for a city to conduct an annexation study every 5 years or so. Peachtree City hasn't done one since 2014, so it's high time. The purpose of the analysis will be to provide this council with data and objective recommendations so we can thoughtfully consider how to manage our borders, our boundaries in the future. In the past, development has continued in other areas outside of Fayette, in our neighboring counties, with those impacts hitting Peachtree City pretty directly. We've all seen the results with the traffic on Highway 54 coming in from the Sharpsburg area with Sam's Club and Costco. We cannot be idle and sit idly by and think things are going to go well for Peachtree City. We need a plan to ensure that we have a seat at the table and we are in the decision-making seat. I want to assure our residents that no decisions about annexation or zoning or development are being made tonight, and we remain committed to transparency and to ensuring that our residents have accurate information, and you might not find that on Facebook. This study is about gathering facts and evaluating options and nothing more. The findings of the study will be presented at a future public meeting, so stay tuned and stay informed, and thank you for being here. We do appreciate you. Do we have public comment?
Yes, Madam Mayor. We have 6 speakers signed up. The first person signed up is Jeremy Santos.
And we have coming up on the screen the 4 minutes, I believe. Can you hold 1 second? Technical difficulties. We'll be with you in a moment.
Let me know when.
Getting better.
Madam Mayor, I will keep a timer on my phone while
Okay.
we're working on that. Oh, spoken to.
And we're ready. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jeremy Santos. I live at 351 Archway Lane in the Gates, which is on the south side of Peachtree City. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here because of a situation that we're facing that has seriously shaken our confidence in one of the most important protections homeowners can rely on, the integrity of the city's permitting and inspection process. In 2017, we built our house in a newly annexed neighborhood with full city permitting and inspection at every stage. A professional surveyor prepared a stamped survey plan and physically placed stakes to mark our property lines. Those stakes have remained in place unchanged throughout construction and during fence installation. We trusted that approval and we had no reason not to. 2 years later, we obtained a pool permit. The same fence was approved as our required safety barrier for that pool. For nearly a decade, nothing about the fence has changed. The survey markers and site conditions remain exactly where they were signed off by the city. Yet today, retroactively, unprovoked, violation notices claiming the fence encroaches on the green space have been sent. I understand mistakes happen. I understand staffing challenges. I understand all the bureaucratic problems that can happen within a city. We've followed every rule. We've paid every fee. We've relied on the city's multiple approvals and inspections for our fence. Importantly, none of these shortcomings are the responsibility of us, the homeowner. We're not surveyors. I hired professional surveyors, ones that the city uses also to survey the lot. I'm not an inspector. The city is the one that inspected and approved our permits. It seems like the city is going back retroactively, trying to find something to hang their hats on. And that's a quote, hang their hats on. That's from open records that we found. Despite our multiple approved inspections, they're coming after us to relocate these fences. Our big concern is safety. We've got a 33 and a 24-degree slope in our backyard. If we move our fence down that slope, it's gonna effectively lower the fence height, allowing people to encroach from the green space, or intrude from the green space into our yard by basically taking a 5-foot fence and giving it an effective height of 1 foot, allowing people to jump the fence. It will also require major regrading, excavation, the erosion controls that we put in, drainage that's a factor. We put in French drains because the water flow from the green space and the way the neighborhood was originally excavated has created a major problem. Removing the sod, that's the only thing that's holding the slope in place. It's there's going to be some serious erosion concerns. Our biggest concern is child safety. Pools are known as an attractive nuisance liability, and it's a potential risk for us, citizens of Peachtree City, and then the city itself. The majority of the required changes, if we are to move our fence, would have to recur on the Greenbelt side and come at an additional cost to the taxpayers, beyond the $3,200 in taxpayer funds that the city has already retroactively spent after these notices of violation have been sent out. So we got notice of violation, and then the city spent $3,200 more trying to prove their point. So again, all I'm asking for is that the council place this matter on a future council agenda so that it can be spoken about in an open record. And I'm only speaking for myself.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Next speaker is Greg Vusa.
Greg, there you go.
Good evening. My name is Greg Voga.
Move the microphone up a little so we
Gotcha.
can hear you. There you go.
Better. Good evening, council members and mayor. My name's Greg Voga. Got it. I'm just here. One of our neighbors, Larry Lighthouser, was not able to be here. He appointed us as a proxy, and I just wanted to put his information into record. He says, from the email that I'm reading from him, I recognize that our fence line encroaches on the green space. It has been the same position for the past 8 years. Our intent was to align our fence line with both neighbors on either side. The contour of the land for each of our homes make our fences safer for all. In addition, we have invested time and money to maintain the green space to keep the landscape attractive. Both our neighbors and council have inherited this situation and want to work for to a resolution. And that's the end of his comments. He supports us with the comments that we're making today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Robin Vuga.
Thank you.
Ready? Okay. Hello, my name is Robin Boga. I'm at 343 Archway Lane, and I'm here to represent my family, my husband Greg, and my kids Will and Izzy Boga, and we are in the Gates neighborhood also with the fence issue, and that's what I want to use my 4 minutes to talk about tonight is the fence. And I want to show you that it's in the city's best interest to leave the fence where it is. We have looked into doing a variance. A variance can only be used on your own property, and therefore that's not available to us. It is in 10 feet into the green space, and we recognize that, but it's in the city's best interest to leave it in place for 2 reasons. First of all, if you look at my first slide here, this is a judgment call because we have no other options besides your council. And your function, according to the Peachtree City website, is to direct and control all property located within Peachtree City, and so we're relying on you to do that for our property. If you look at my next slide, you'll also recognize this from the Peachtree City website. Peachtree City has 5 strategic pillars, and as you can see in the lower left-hand corner, I've circled an attractive community. The fence is attractive where it is. It's up on a swale. My neighbor on the left-hand side does not have a basement. I do. So the neighbor's very high, and then you'll see on the next page, there's a 10.5-foot drop into my property, so we live in a bowl. And the green space is up behind a swale that's been created to keep the water behind that. And the fence is on top of that. It's very attractive. It goes down for the 7 properties that are affected here tonight that we're talking about. So we like to leave it in place. An attractive community brings in higher tax values. An unattractive community brings in lower tax values. If we were to move the fence forward, you can see in the next slide, you can see the fence is here. It's a 5-foot fence. And if we were to move it forward, it goes down the slope. And so now we have, instead of this nice line all the way down the line, we're gonna have something that kind of falls into a cliff. And so it's unattractive. My second point is that it is a green space. It drops branches and needles and pine cones and things like that that'll gather behind the fence if it's moved in. And so the city will have to take care of that at the very least, and if not, maybe even grade it. So my second point is, if you flip over one more slide, the community wants to be fiscally responsible. And Mayor, I know you campaigned on fiscal responsibility. I have the postcard. And so what's more fiscally responsible than neighbors of Peachtree City property owners taking care of the property for the city for free? So for that reason, I ask you to leave the fence in place. There are 2 options available, a $0 99-year lease or an easement. So there are options available to you. I hope you will choose one of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
Carrie Walton.
Jasmine's getting her exercise.
Her handouts tonight.
You getting your 10,000 steps?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi, I'm Carrie Walton. I live in the gate, similar to my neighbors here. So I wanted to also say thank you for letting us come speak to y'all today. I want to first say that I support my neighbors. My situation is slightly different. So I think I said I live at 357 Archway Lane. I purchased my house in April of last year. We relocated our family from Savannah. I have 2 small children, and their one request was to have a pool. So we chose to relocate to Peachtree City for all the wonderful benefits that it has. We found this wonderful house, had a pool, we bought it. It had an existing fence, and then we found out that it apparently was put 4 feet onto the green space. We were not aware of that. That was our fault. We totally understand that. It is on undeveloped green space property. It is not encroaching on another individual, so it's not on a neighbor's property. So our request is that you consider granting us an encroachment, or not encroachment, sorry, an easement. That would be, if the land use changes, that we would move our fence at our cost at that point. That's my request. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Next speaker is Blake Roeder.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Blake Rader at 345 Archway Lane, also in the Gates. Similar to what my neighbors have said, we're in favor of leaving the fence as it is. I moved into the neighborhood. This June will be 3 years. The house has been there approximately 9 years. I've never seen another human walking through the green space or behind our property until when one day a surveyor showed up. Similar to my neighbors, we have a pool, and we're concerned about safety. If we move the fence to where the city surveyor said to move it to, it would be so close to the pool, a deer or a child could hop the fence and wind up in the pool. So I think it would it would pose a safety issue. Additionally, again, the fence was put in by the previous homeowner. Like I said, we've only been there 3 years. The fence, and then there's also some grading and a retaining wall that was beautifully put in. If we were to demolish that, as the city inspector said, I'm worried about erosion from then the city property damaging our property. So again, safety concerns there. I think again, the simplest and most elegant solution would be to just leave the fence where it is. We're not coming up on a golf cart path or a road. We're not hindering any progress to the city. Like I said, I've never seen a human in this wooded space behind our house ever until that surveyor. That is all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
Final speaker is Sean Manuel.
Hey, good evening. Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Sean Manuel. I live at 353 Archway Lane in the Gates as well, next door to Mr. Santos. And I'm here in support of my neighbors and asking that we get a variance to keep our fence where it is for all the reasons that they explained. Also would like to, I was also asked to proxy a letter from the neighbors that live on the other side of the green space in Sonoy at 130 Finnhurst Point. It's Mr. and Mrs. Sislo, Daniel and Maggie Sislo. They wrote this letter and would like me to share it with you guys. To whom it may concern, I am writing in support of my neighbor's request for a special exception for safety to allow their fence to remain in its current location rather than being moved approximately 4 feet down a slope. Our property backs up to theirs, providing my 4 young children direct access to the fence line. I'm deeply concerned about the safety risk that it would arise if the fence were to be moved down the slope. Relocating it would reduce the effective height above the green belt to roughly a foot, making the fence dramatically easier for curious children to climb. In addition, the closer placement to the green belt would allow my children to push off the slope or vegetation to gain leverage, further increasing their ability to their ability to climb over the lowered fence. This creates a serious risk of them accessing the pool in this area and potentially falling in. The fence's current placement provides a much safer and more secure barrier. The estimates they received also indicate that the fence meets compliance best where it is now. For these reasons, I fully support the special exception for safety and believe it is in the best interest of safety for the fence to remain as currently in a current location. Sincerely, Daniel and Maggie Sislo. That's all I have. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Agenda changes, council. None? All right.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
He does.
Yes, actually on the consent agenda, is now the appropriate time to make a motion, or we wait on the consent
You
agenda?
why don't you wait on consent agenda?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Quarterly reports, questions or comments? I want everybody to know that our staff does an amazing job of summarizing all of their many activities. It is readily available in our council packet. If you go to our city website, front page, click on meetings, you can find today's date, and it is impressive. Our staff is very busy, and we have a lot to be proud of. I don't have any questions, do you?
I don't have any questions other than, are we gonna do the summary one, and how long will that be for the full year?
Annual report?
Yeah.
Yes, we plan on doing an annual report for 2025, which we've never done before. So that'll be exciting. I think I gave Kayla, my assistant, a deadline of the second meeting in March
Okay.
to have them to y'all.
Okay.
Any other comments? All right, minutes, January 15th, 2026, City Council meeting minutes. January 15th, 2026, executive session minutes. Can I get a motion?
Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes of January 15th, 2026 City Council meeting minutes and January 15th, 2026 executive session minutes.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Mr. Polachek.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items A through L with the exception that item K be removed from the consent for discussion. I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Before we take up item K, just like that, we have approved an appointment to the Fayette County Library Board of Tricia Stearns. We've approved appointment to the Recreation Advisory Group, Joe Tesoriero, and we've approved Joe Campbell as our Convention and Visitors Bureau Board volunteer. So I want to thank all those volunteers. If you're here and I called your name, will you stand up, please? Thanks to our volunteers. We also just approved a $5,000 contribution from Mahaffey Lincus Orthodontics. They want to sponsor some of our 2026 events, including our father-daughter dance, our family formal, and a mother-son event. So thanks very much for the generous contribution from Mahaffey Lincus Orthodontics. And at this time, we'll take up consent agenda item K, fiscal year 26 budget amendment, 4th of July, 250th anniversary celebration additions.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for the 4th of July, the additions that we've been looking at is, we've researched several options of what we can do for the 250th anniversary of our country this year. And we have a proposal from a company to do a 15-minute drone show prior to the fireworks this year that we're looking at. And then we are also looking at the possibility of purchasing some docking materials so that we can, about 2,800 square foot, so that we can fire the fireworks from Lake Peachtree and open up Drake Field for other events, which we would then in turn try to potentially have a Sunset Sounds 4th of July edition from 3 to 6 p.m. with an artist that would come out on the field, and then from 6 p.m. till the start of the show, we would then have the wind ensemble play during the show and while the show's going on. So we've got a variety of options. We're just trying to secure some of this stuff. Ultimately, any questions that you have in that, just please let me know.
Thank you. Council?
What would be the lifespan of the docking if we were to purchase it?
We're still looking into several options on that, but upwards of 20 years.
And is that something you would have to maintain and store and insure and repair? And
Yes, we would have to haul it out there every year, but it's 5 by 8 sections that we'd be able to go out a couple of days before the event, set it up. Then they would load the fireworks on. I've already reached out to Pyrotechnico, our fireworks company. They can also do this. We would deck this platform with plywood so that it would have some fire prevention methods from the actual fireworks going off. But the ones that we're looking at, they actually have landed helicopters on these docks. So very strong. They recommended this, and, you know, they're looking forward to it as well. I've already also reached out to the fire department, and in accordance to what they already do, where we set the buoys up for our perimeter where no one can be in, that would be extended around this dock on the lake. So there would still be use of the lake prior to the fireworks, but we would have that perimeter completely on the water.
And the line item amount of money is what?
$100,000.
Would you think if we purchase the dock material, then we would have it for all the subsequent years, and that would change the way we do things at Drake
Correct.
Field in future years?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, we're currently looking at what can we do around City Hall, because, you know, we have food vendors that are set up. We're also looking into bring some inflatable slides for the kids to use out here by the fountain as well. So just trying to really do a lot for the city for the 250th anniversary of the country.
Thanks, Harold. And from a public safety standpoint, since now we're opening up Drake Field, it'll be very packed. Do we feel, is there enough funding in there to allocate for any public safety needs that we have?
So this would actually help us in a lot of ways, because all of the, what we call the restricted zone would move from actually being in part of Picnic Park and part of Drake Field. It'll actually just be completely over the water. So it'd actually open up a lot of the areas. We wouldn't have to worry about the pavilion, those kinds of things, because the fireworks are now away from them. So it's actually, we've actually asked for this a long time. It's just come to fruition where we could actually have the right materials to do it.
Great.
Yes, we would also look at the Ralph M. Jones boat ramp launch area. We would probably go ahead and close that and utilize our fire department to be there. So that's where we would probably put the fireworks on the water from. And then we would secure that through that opening.
Okay.
Is there any concern, just because, I mean, I can imagine if you have a dock out in the middle of the lake, people wanting to climb on it, is there ways, if you're setting it up days in advance, is there ways that we can prevent? Not that I'm trying to put ideas into anyone's head. But.
We would try to set this up as close to the fireworks arriving, because once the fireworks arrive on site, they have to stay and secure the fireworks there until the show is over. The pyrotechnico does, along with, you know, PD and fire staying out there as well. But yeah, it's actually easier for us to maintain that because it'll be in the middle of the lake instead of on ground where people can actually walk under a piece of caution tape and get to them. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else?
Does the money that we're going to be spending, does that have in there the cost of the fire and police protection during the fireworks display? Is that included in this cost here, or is there an additional cost over and above?
No, that's covered in our normal 4th of July operating supply budget.
Thank you.
I have one question. Do we anticipate that the water level in the lake is going to be back up to normal by then? Or are you going to be actually doing this as a kind of a mud event?
The plan is to start raising the lake back up in March.
Okay.
All right, seeing no other, any other questions?
And just from the funding source, this is coming from the cash reserves, one-time use?
Correct.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I welcome businesses in our community to match the city here, and maybe we can then reallocate funding elsewhere. This is a great opportunity. I think it's long awaited that we open up Drake Field. The event's really grown in popularity ever since I was a kid, so this is a step in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, council, can I get a motion?
Hey, I'll make the motion, Madam Mayor. I motion that we approve item K, the fiscal year 26 budget amendment for the 4th of July, the 250th anniversary of the United States and the Celebration Edition.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Old agenda item A, approval of a resolution. It is a pledge to practice and promote civility in the city of Peachtree City. We've been through it in detail. Council, can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I have a comment to make.
Let's get a motion and a second, and then we'll take questions and comments.
Madam Mayor, I'll make
You can go ahead.
you want me to go?
Mhm,
Okay.
you're fine.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve a resolution 02152026, pledge of pledge to practice and promote civility in the city of Peachtree City.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Yes. My opinion about the GMA idea and policy of having cities of civility has not changed since I was elected to the council. It's a waste of time. Signing a paper doesn't make you civil. Either you are civil or you are not. A piece of paper with a pledge and some signatures on it does not, cannot, and will not make you civil. It may make you appear civil to someone who reads the name of your city on the GMA website. But let's look at the list of cities on the GMA website. There are 536 cities in Georgia. Only 93 are listed as cities of civility. That's just 17.35% of all Georgia cities. Plus, that number is down since last year when there were 135 cities. 42 chose not to renew it. Perhaps the 443 cities that are not on the list agree that this is not needed. For the record, let's look at some of the cities who are not on the list. The GMA is based in Atlanta, yet Atlanta is not on the list. I wonder why. But neither is Noonan, Tyrone, Kennesaw, Fairburn, Sandy Springs, Columbus, Marietta, Alpharetta, or even Athens. And let's not forget Augusta, Valdosta, and Macon. The list goes on and on. In fact, 82.65% of all cities in Georgia have not signed a civility pledge. Do they feel like I do, that signing a piece of paper to make you feel like you are civil is not as good as simply being civil? Maybe we should ask all of them, all 443 that have not signed. Now let's look at what will happen if we don't sign. Absolutely nothing. There is no penalty at all. We won't lose any funding. We won't be kicked out of anything. Most citizens won't even notice. Will they care? Maybe not. If we don't sign, we'll be the part of the hefty 82.65%, the majority. Life teaches us there's a huge difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. I think we should not sign the pledge until every council member can clearly say that for an entire year we have seen civility from every member, both on the dais and off. Right now, I won't sign.
Council, any other comments? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Thank you. New agenda item 22602, fiscal year 26 budget amendment, annexation plan RFP. Shayla Reed.
Greetings, Mayor and Council. This item before you tonight is a opportunity for us to hear of a proposal that was sent over to the city regarding the RFP for an annexation plan update. This item is not, as you mentioned, an action on annexation. This is simply just a study that will be conducted if approved. The RFP was sent out on December 22nd of last year, and they were due back to the city January 14th. And in the time of the proposals being received, we received 3. There were 5 individuals on our committee that reviewed the items, and for the 3 that were reviewed, KB Advisory Group was found to be the highest bidder based on scoring, and you have that information before you in your packet. Staff recommends that KB Advisory Group be the, consultants used for this product. Thank you, Mayor. And they're present if you have any questions.
They are present. Where? Oh, well,
Hiding in plain sight.
That's right. Would you mind taking the microphone and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about KB and our consideration for your firm to do this study?
Sure. Is this a good mic or is that better?
Either way, you might be comfortable.
All right. I see the clicker over here, so just in case I'm going to change slides.
And start by sharing your name.
Sure. Jeff Koski, president and owner of KB Advisory Group. We are a 25-year-old consulting firm out of Atlanta. We were known as Blakely Advisory Group for most of our time, but changed our name about 6 years ago. We are planners. We do work throughout the state of Georgia, throughout the Southeast. Most of our work is focused on really the economics of planning, as we like to say. And so we get involved in all sorts of interesting issues for cities in Georgia, including annexation, sometimes de-annexation, sometimes municipal feasibility. So we've done this type of work throughout the state for many years. Appreciate the opportunity to send the proposal in and be with you tonight. Happy to keep talking if you want, or you can pepper me with questions.
Yeah, what can we expect as a deliverable?
Okay, so here we go. So just to, so you know some of the work that we've done, and I'll answer your question in just a second, but just to give you some idea of the type of work that we've done, as I mentioned, we've done work, for cities as close as McDonough here. We were involved in a new city being created in Gwinnett County, Mulberry, which that feasibility study is somewhat similar to an annexation. It's kind of a whole city being annexed and created. We've done this type of work in Porterdale as recently as 2024, and we're doing an annexation feasibility right now for Clarkston. So this is not the only work we do. We do a lot of work around economic development in the state, but again, this fits within our wheelhouse, I would say. And so again, just to run through, this is straight from the proposal that we had sent, but what we'll do is really, establish the baseline to understand sort of what the current conditions are. What ends up happening really is kind of to look at, you kind of think of this as a cost-benefit analysis. So we look at, different areas of the city that may or may not be up for consideration or that are up for consideration. Think about what are the benefits of annexing them, particularly from the fiscal side. So what are particularly the property tax implications? What kind of revenue would you gain by pulling these areas in? And then there's a cost side. So what does it cost to bring the city's services to those? And so at its simplest explanation, that's the way to kind of think about it. Areas and parcels that may want to or that may need to be considered, and is there a fiscal benefit from those? So it's kind of a numbers game, if you will. And so we would, kind of work with you all, talk to each of you, get input from each of you to understand where those areas of interest would be, and we run those through this analysis. And you can see we're looking not just at property taxes, but also the idea of franchise taxes, sales taxes, and all of the things that drive your budget. But obviously, as you know, property taxes tend to drive the budget the most. And then looking at the expenditure side, and then these net fiscal outcomes. And so, to your question now, Mayor, the deliverable would involve a report, probably something like 40 or 50 pages of lots of numbers, lots of maps, with an executive summary, so you can get right into what the recommendations are. And again, the recommendations are not necessarily going to be you must, or you have to, or even that you should. It really wants to lay out the pros and the cons, if you will. Particularly, the quantifiable pros and cons. There will be some qualitative pieces to this as well, but ultimately this is a quantum, it's a math question. And so we would deliver that. The idea is that we would put on one public meeting near the end before it really comes before you for consideration, to make sure we're getting good input from the public. Again, I think it's a very technical study, so it's not like a comp plan or a master plan where we just ask everybody what they want. We'll work with you and stakeholders to understand kind of where we should be looking. But once we have some numbers, once we have some findings, then we would propose to swing open the doors. Let's talk about this, see what the public thinks, and then we would come back and present it to you, and then it's yours to kind of decide what to do with. So we would work closely with staff, with Justin and Shayla, and we can get this done in about 4 months. Again, there would be plenty of milestones along the way. I'd be happy to come back and talk to you in the middle of it in a meeting, as well, just to keep you up to date, if that is helpful for you as well.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor, if I may. I've been a big proponent of doing a annexation study since I ran for election in '22. So this is nothing new. I've been waiting for this for a long time. We almost did it a year ago, right, Mayor? We almost did, and we weren't quite ready. We're ready now. We really need to take a look at what the city can potentially become by annexing properties in around the city. So I'm really happy. I'm very much in support of this, Madam Mayor, and I think we ought to go ahead and approve this and get going.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion that we approve budget item 022602, a budget amendment for fiscal 26 for annexation plan per the RFP in the value of $65,000.
You said budget item, you meant agenda item.
It says budget amendment. I'm sorry
Right.
if I made it incorrect, sorry. Fiscal 26 budget amendment annexation plan, FRP.
Can I
for
get a
a
second?
value of 65,000.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Did you say a start date yet on this?
He did. It was February,
Was it
end of
Feb-
February.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
New agenda item 22603, reallocate Pebble Pocket Splash Pad CIP funding. Harold Layton.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So again, we are looking to take the funding that was for the Pebble Pocket Splash Pad and move it into another CIP project so that we can now build a playground at the pickleball complex that's being currently built at Rockaway Road. We also would like to purchase a video trailer that we've been using for several of our events that we've been renting. We would also like to purchase some additional shade structures for All Children's Playground since we had to cut the tree down because of the damage to the tree. And then we also want to use this to supplement with another CIP project that we currently have to add shade to Glenlock Pool. So those are the items that we're looking to use these funds for.
All right, we covered this in our retreat. Council, any questions? Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the reallocation funds from the Pebble Pocket Splash Pad project to other CIP projects within park enhancements in the amount of $391,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Harold. New agenda item 22604, fiscal year 26 budget amendment, readily agreement.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. As part of our process, we're always analyzing city services, and we did find a gap in city services after hours mostly, as well as just when staff members are assisting people in person, sometimes we are unable to get to the phone calls. So we were trying to find a solution, and one of the solutions that came up is an AI-powered sort of assistant. And we have a presentation from Bill Morick, who's joining us from Readily, just to give you a little bit more information about what is being offered and what type of service we're looking to bring into Peachtree City to help mitigate that gap.
Thank you for being with us, Bill. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Bill Morick. I work with Readily. It's been a pleasure to work with Jasmine and the rest of the team. I also have online with me a solutions engineer who's going to show the proposed solution that we've developed for Peachtree City so you guys can see it in action. I'll share just a few slides here so you guys have some context on the type of problems that we can help address. If you can just verify that you can see this opening slide with Peachtree City logo.
Yes.
Beautiful. Just going through a couple slides at a very high level. We Readily modernizes resident communication with engagement tools that deliver fast and clear, inclusive support. So at any language, at any time, after hours, on the weekends, or even during a call spike, right? So there's an issue that has a lot of people reaching out at the same time. We can effectively spin up infinite number of agents that are all experts on the latest news from the city and can advise your residents in any language that they'd like to speak to, with the ultimate goal of just giving a better experience to the resident, getting them the answers or services that they're seeking for faster and easier. As a technology solution designed specifically for local governments, we are very secure, and we take a lot of concern about keeping residents' data private as well. And as a result, we've gone through all of the compliance and security certification that you would expect for a technology used by a municipality. We're also like a white glove service, so the solution could be enabled and in action very quickly with really minimal effort from your IT team or internal in general. We have multi-channel support, so this could be a chatbot on the website. It can also be voice AI that interacts with people on your existing phone lines. We want to meet the residents wherever they have questions. And again, as far as accessibility, there's over 200 language support built in today. Whatever language you chat or speak in, simply that's the language that the AI agents will respond in, which is really great to give all members of the community the same access to information that we have. And here's some questions that your staff maybe or your residents have that the staff's helping with today. Like, do I need a permit for a particular project? What's my property zone for? Maybe they want to report a pothole in the street, asking questions about billing from the utilities. Maybe it's something fun like wanting to reserve a tennis court for those cool pickleball courts that I heard mentioned earlier. And again, this could be in Spanish or any other of the 200 languages that we support. This is, I know, a bit of an eye chart, but we've worked with many cities and counties and pretty much every department at this point. So just to give you guys an idea of some of the questions that we can help residents answer, it could be public works, permitting, non-emergency police questions, parks and recs, the library. Sometimes we're even helping answer county questions, even though it's not our job, but people may be reaching out to us with the questions, and if we can help provide helpful information to the resident, maybe we do such. I'll stop for just a moment. If there's any questions on what I've covered thus far, happy to answer those. If there are none, we can jump into the demonstration of the Peach City solution that we've developed for the team.
Council, can we continue?
Sure.
All right, let's continue.
Thank you, Mayor. Tanesh, would you like to take over controls?
Yes. Bill, can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Thank you. I'm Tanesh. I'm the AI solutions engineer. I will start sharing my screen in a moment, make sure everyone can see this. All right, so we set up a virtual assistant here on the chat as well as the phone, the voice, and this is fully trained on Peachtree City's information. So I'm going to start this out by clicking on the widget here. Bill, is this glitching out for you too?
It's kind of bouncing a little bit around on our screen for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully this one's better.
There we go.
All right. I'll get started. So, just want to kick this off. We are in Peachtree City, so I thought I'd start off with a golf-related question, but make it more realistic. Basically emulate what a resident would ask here, which is, what is the golf cart tag renewal deadline? So you'll see pretty instantly we start answering that question. Very direct and easy to understand. So it tells me about resident renewals and it tells me about non-resident renewals. In terms of the answer, I just want to note that the source of information, the source of truth we are using, that's all official city information. It has been touched by a city official. This is a closed system, so we're not going into the vast internet, onto Facebook to look for any source of information or updates. We have citations here to prove that everything is coming from an official source, which takes me to real web pages on the website. And then for ADA compliance, Bill, I know you mentioned, but just tying it back, we have a pretty advanced here accessibility menu of the languages that I can interact in, as well as text-to-speech and speech-to-text.
Resident renewals for 2026 to 20.
But looking at this question, let's say I'm not sure if I'm a resident or not, and I'm sure you never get this question, which is, am I in the city limits or am I in the county? So I'm going to kick that off here as a follow-up to the initial question. And as Bill mentioned, we try to meet the resident where they are. So in this case, this is a geospatial question. We want to make sure we get accurate information. So I can open up the map and I can pinpoint exactly where I live. But as we can all agree, the more natural way of asking this question would be just mentioning what your address is. And in that case, what's really advanced here is that it's able to complete that. Again, pinpoint my information. So you'll see it finds out the lat and long for my location. And what it does right now, it looks at the GIS information for the city, and it tells me that this location is actually within city limits. So just closing the loop here. So what is my deadline again? So it basically gives me concludes the answer here by telling me because you're inside the limits, your deadline would be March 31st. There's also a follow-up question, so we make sure to give a complete experience, so predict what the next best question would be here. But just changing gears a little bit, we know zoning is a big topic, especially for permitting, building department questions. So I can ask, what is my zoning info? And once again, I have the map, and I can zoom in here. Chinese Pizzeria is enticing, but I think I'll go with an address that might be more familiar to all of us. And enter that.
It better be in Peachtree. We're all in trouble.
It is in Peachtree, and it tells me this complete zoning information. So it tells me the classification, the symbol, and then it basically lets me know where I can find more zoning information as well. And then I can go into like landline information, voting districts, utilities, all that good stuff. Now, here's a case where I'm not necessarily taking in information, but providing information, which could be something like submitting a service request. So in the case of reporting a pothole, it immediately understands the context and it starts asking me my name and some basic information that would be required for this request. This is fully customizable, so I can choose to provide my email, my phone number. You can see here this is optional, but this can be, you know, a mandatory field. Here again, this time I'm going to zoom in. Let's say the country club here. I can upload photos, so you can imagine for people that are using this on mobile devices, if they're driving by and they hit a pothole, it's very easy and accessible for them to take a photo or pick something from their media. Just to interest of time, I'll say no here. And then it summarizes all that information, you know, in a more organized manner. And then I can confirm this. Now, a couple things can happen here. We integrate with your systems, we layer on top of them. So we can go directly into the work order system and create this record. So we're not trying to replace any existing city systems, you know, for folks that are responsible for a service request or for a building permit inspection or anything like that. We will make sure that it reaches them. But currently it's a setup for email as well. So I wanted to take a quick pause here. If there's any questions, we can address those. If not, I would love to go into the voice side of things.
Go ahead and continue.
The voice, yeah.
All right. So we set up a voice line. This is the staging line. basically, on my online application here, I'm making a call. This is exactly the same if I were to dial into the phone.
I don't think we can hear your audio, Tanesh. You want to try sharing it again?
Can you hear my audio?
No, sir.
See if, sure again.
Tanish,
Right,
are you,
I think I'm sharing
Tanish,
audio now.
I have a question. Tanish, are you real or are you AI?
Good question. I'm a person.
Thank you.
Can you prove it?
I get that quite often, surprisingly. I've heard it twice.
I don't understand it.
All right, let me try again.
Hi, I'm Scout, Peachtree City's virtual helper. I can answer questions, connect you with the right department, or speak in other languages. This call may be recorded to help improve service. How can I help you?
Yeah, I want to add a bathroom to my house. Do I need a permit for that?
Checking permit requirements. Yes, you need a permit to add a bathroom to your house. Permits are required for additions and for any mechanical, electrical, or plumbing work done within the city. You must submit the required plans and materials to the building department, including construction plans and a site plan. Only files submitted through the online portal will be accepted. Would you like information on the specific documents required to apply for your bathroom addition permit?
No, actually, I have a couple more questions. Can you just put me in touch with a live person for this?
One moment, please. I am now transferring your call to the building department.
Thank you for calling the City of Peachtree City. Please listen to the...
So here, transferred to the number, but this can be customized to go directly to the building department, the city clerk, public works, pretty much any phone number, and we can map it out according to the request. So here you can see, I asked a question, it gave me the answer, it followed up with me, and then when I asked to connect to a live person, it was able to do that, and specifically, it could connect me with the team that's responsible for that request. So it goes off of context, and we make sure that we get the person in touch with the responsible team or the department that's responsible to get them the support needed.
And if I may add to that, I believe as the mayor asked about Tanesh being a human, which I can verify that he is. If you notice at the beginning of the call, we announced that it's a virtual helper. There's not legislation or policy necessarily in place that dictates that, but we think there should be, honestly. And so we always will announce that it's AI, so no one feels like they're confused or being tricked about who they're speaking with. Also, at any point, I know a common frustration with dealing with these platforms is feeling trapped in a cycle where you're not able to find a resolution. So if at any point the resident says, hey, I'd like to speak to a person, we will transfer them. And also the solution just works as well, which I know there's a lot of frustration about immature technologies out there. We've been around for more than 4 years, and a lot of that time's been in development. So the solution will give the residents the solution or the responses they're expecting and looking for.
Okay. Time for questions? Council?
Yeah, I have a comment and a question. Y'all have heard me call myself a recovering bureaucrat, and one of those reasons is because I used to be director of constituent services for a large state agency. It wasn't the easiest work, but we integrated something similar, and we saw so much progress in our response time and resolved cases. And a lot of other state agencies duplicated the process as well. Everything got streamlined, and we had folks reach out to us who want to get in touch with another state agency. And it's just, when I think about it's time to modernize certain city hall services, this is exactly it. Provides more efficient and quicker customer service, which when people engage with their local government, that's what they want. So I love this. Jasmine, I meant to ask you this before. the meeting, just to understand this, I see that we're allocating funding from savings from the election. Is this one time for kind of test this out and do a pilot with kind of the vision to annualize it at a future date?
Yeah, so the one time is a savings. However, this will be an annual contract that we'll pay for. However, we will budget accordingly for future years.
Okay, so we'll have a chance to review and make sure it's meeting your standards and.
That's correct.
Everything.
Ted makes sure that all of our contracts have a clause in there that we can pretty much come out of it at any time.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's what I was just checking in the contract, and it looks like we can terminate at the 3, 12, and 24 month mark is what I'm seeing there. So I think it gives me some assurance because this is a very outward facing service. I'm glad you talked about the cycle. I know sometimes I'm just like, I just press that 0 until I can get to a human. That's me. And so I'm glad that there's a way that if they want to get to an actual live person, that they can do that. The one question I have here is, as far as any of these concerns that they might have, has it been tested that those concerns reach the correct department if it's done in a chat?
Well, we haven't set it up. They're just using their own network. But in the process, we're actually going to work with all of the departments to ensure that it actually routes the calls correctly. So when it is installed, is that what?
Well, and in the chat too, like if they had a concern, saying like they were reporting the pothole, like that gets to.
Correct. So we'll set all of
Public
that up. Additionally, we will get a report that we can determine that not only what information that we need to put in the forefront of our website to make sure that people can access it quickly, but also to ensure that we're seeing what's actually being submitted online, what are the calls about, what are the chats about, to make sure that we have the most accurate information on our website when it comes to those things.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Brown?
I was going to ask, is there like a feedback mechanism at the end of the chat that says, was this helpful, did you get all the answers? And is there a way that data is going to be like given back to us, like, so that we can evaluate at the end of the, time period before we go into the next fiscal year and say, okay, let's go ahead and do this. Is it working? Is it meeting the need?
Yeah, so Bill and I actually was talking the other day because we have another platform that does something similar where we get sentiment, and we were actually talking about having those two talk to each other so we could have a public dashboard so the residents could actually see what's coming in and is it getting accomplished? Are they, are we getting multiple calls from the same people about the same thing? That means they're not getting the answer when they called the first time. And so we want to make sure we have a public facing dashboard and information and reports that we receive that can sort of ensure that the information that's being provided is accurate.
Right, what I'm asking is, and maybe it is the same thing, but like at the end of the chat, was this information helpful, yes or no? Like it's a very, click yes, click no, whatever, and that data should be compiled so that we at least have some method of saying, okay, people are navigating through and getting their answers, as opposed to, like what you just said, getting frustrated and calling back 3 times going, one of these times I'm going to get lucky and get through to the right thing.
Yes, that's part of, that's something that we can build into the platform. They're going to make it specific and custom for how, things that we want to see within it. And a part of that is not just that this information, when we do, hey, did this answer your question? And then, they say no and it's just not going anywhere. We're going to get reports, and that's what I meant. Additionally, not only just an important report internally, we want a public-facing dashboard as well where our residents can see where their money is going and is this an effective program.
Right, and the other data that I would be kind of like looking for is what are the most common things that people are calling in for?
Correct.
So that's going to be compiled also?
We currently do that right now, yes, because we currently do that right now, not necessarily the calls, we don't have access to that, but we do it on our website. We actually have heat maps and we have search queries so we can see what people are looking for. We can see the most visited sites, and what we do is we make those links the forefront of our web pages. So this is now giving us the option to do the same with phone calls.
Anything else?
We're just, on our screen now, we have, what I think what you were asking about it. So at the end of the conversation, you can say, were you satisfied with it? Which is nice.
yeah.
So we're getting a
That's what I wanted.
sentiment. And also we're recording the topics, so you can see how many people are talking about what. And this is internal facing. So Jasmine's talking about also making this data available to the public. We're more, the insights we have are more for staff use. But you can see if everyone has a concern about a particular subject, and maybe that enables you all to, create a press release to give more information and suppress some of those concerns. So you can see what people are asking about, what languages they're engaging in, and how satisfied they are with the answers. If we're ever not able to answer a question, it's usually because we actually ourselves don't have a source to answer it. So as we also mentioned, we're only using the Peachtree City resources and nothing else. And so if there's not a web page that answers that question, or we don't have a source for it, we'll say we're not able to answer that. And sometimes that's appropriate because they might be asking for a blueberry pie recipe and Peachtree City doesn't want to supply that. But other times that question can help us reverse engineer and find out where there's data gaps on the existing website, or maybe just out of date information. So we weren't able to answer it because this web page needs to be updated. And so it can be helpful with that as well. And then the resident gets the answer they're looking for at the next visit.
I like the whole idea because not everybody functions on a Monday through Friday daytime schedule where you can call in, talk to somebody, get the answers, and a lot of people have trouble navigating the website, and I still have trouble with certain parts of it. So, I think this is definitely, giving 24-hour a day access to get that answer to the question. Hopefully.
All right, Mr. Holland?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions for the staff. How long, or maybe for Bill, how long will it take? First of all, I'm in favor of this type of use of AI. I love it. And so how long will it take to get it implemented should we decide to go? I don't know if that's you, Bill, or Jasmine.
Yeah, we've already done a lot of the heavy lifting because the demonstration that we set up for you guys is, I would say, 80 or 90% of the way there. So in a matter of a couple of weeks, we will roll out the chat session, and then it's just from there we'll just want a lot of feedback from your team, right? And just make sure that, hey, this is not only the correct answer, but that we're answering it in the way that you'd like us to engage with your residents. So there's like a lot of quality assurance feedback. So then maybe like 6 weeks later we'll be kind of completely rolled out. That doesn't mean we won't continue to have check-ins and make updates, but I would say like 2 weeks to get started, and then 6 weeks we should be kind of up and humming.
Okay, a couple of months, that sounds good. Second question is the cost. I see on your chart here, it's pro rata in the first year for $18,000, second year is $40,000, third year is $35,000. I didn't quite understand. Can I get some clarity? When you started this, well, we're going to be doing this and maybe doing that. And which one of these costs are all the costs involved in what we'll be voting on?
Well, this year you would only be paying that first $18,000.
That's what I needed to know.
Yes. Going forward, well, it's because it's prorated.
Right.
Because of the fact that we're halfway through the fiscal year. And
Yep.
Angela likes to make sure that we're on October 1 scheduling. So going forward, we'll make sure that we're on the fiscal year calendar.
Okay, thanks to you both.
All right, I love it. I'm all for it. I think the real benefit will come in the feedback we get from our citizens, that clearly there's a ramp-up period, and I assume that over time we have different responses in the evenings than we might have during the day when offices are open, and all those nuances are pretty hefty. But I trust the system, and Peachtree City's ready for some AI for customer service. I think it's great. All right, any other questions? Council, can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the budget amendment 2617 for the reallocation of funding for an AI-powered resident engagement service.
For
In the amount of $18,000. Thank you.
For $18,000.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thanks very much.
Yep.
You sure it's not say AI?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good
Appreciate
evening.
it. You too.
Thank you.
Very much.
I still think Tanish was AI, but anyway.
He's laughing.
New agenda item 22605, fiscal year 26 budget amendment, fire training tower. Chief Murphy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The fire department is requesting that you allocate funds for construction of a fire training tower at Station 81. We discussed this during the retreat. We've discussed it several times, actually, over the years. So first thing, one of the points that I made to you is this is about training our firefighters to be better. The second point is this is a cost-effective mechanism for us to actually construct this. This is not a traditional building, if you will. It's made almost of scaffolding and can be moved into different configurations, which we think is a benefit over traditional construction. So that's those 2 points. And the third point is this gets us more points in ISO. So we, like I've told you a couple of times, we're at a 90.63, which is just over, you have to make 90 to be a class 1. So this would actually secure us a whole point, actually a little over a whole point towards that. So we'd be at a 91.67. So gives us a little breathing room on our class 1 rating. So we're asking that you fund this construction for a new training tower at Station 81.
Thank you. Council, we reviewed this in our retreat. Any last questions?
Nope.
Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd be delighted to make this motion. Last year, I took it out of the budget. This year, I want to approve it. So, Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 022605 for fiscal year 26 budget amendment for the fire training tower in the amount of $353,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
Thank you.
carries. Thank you. Public hearings 22606. Consider a text amendment to revise land use regulations to permit cosmetic tattooing and microblading. Shayla Reed.
The protocol is as follows. When the public hearing is opened, members of council will become hearers. No action on their part is in order until the mayor declares the hearing complete. First, city staff will present the request and provide an assessment of compliance with city code. The mayor will then allow up to 10 minutes for speakers on each side of the issue to present evidence. No individual member of the public will be given more than 5 minutes to speak. Time limits may only be extended by a majority vote of council and will be divided equally between those supporting and those opposing the issue. The mayor will recognize the applicant and those supporting the issue to present evidence. Remarks will be limited to a total of 10 minutes. The mayor will then recognize those opposing the issue to present evidence for up to 10 minutes. Prior to closing the public hearing, city staff and the public will be given the opportunity to ask questions of either or both sides of the issue. When the mayor and council are assured that the presentation of evidence is complete, the public hearing shall be ended and the council may then debate the issue and render a decision. All speakers from the public are asked to follow these rules. 1, please wait to be recognized by the mayor. 2, come to the microphone and state your name and neighborhood prior to making remarks. 3, keep individual remarks under 5 minutes and do not repeat comments. And 4, address all comments to the mayor. Thank you.
Okay, greetings again, Mayor and Council. The item before you is a proposed text amendment. Just to go through the schedule as a reminder, this item was initiated on March 20th during a council meeting in 2025. Over the course of a few months, the Planning Commission held a few meetings to discuss the item, and they provided a recommendation to you on September 8th, 2025. We are current tonight to hear what their recommendation was, as well as to either make an approval or denial the action. So, as mentioned, we are here to discuss the proposed text amendment that would allow for tattoo parlors, cosmetic tattooing, microblading services, and body art. We currently restrict tattoo parlors inside of our zoning ordinance for general commercial, as well as property zone general commercial. There isn't a definition, so the staff report includes a proposed definition, so that it has always been my recommendation if we're going to restrict something to allow for there to be a definition to assist staff in understanding better, so asking for that to be added. Next, there isn't a definition for the remaining proposed uses, so staff is recommending definitions be placed there as well. And we use the Chapter 42 definitions that we currently have within our codes, as well as what the state identifies as these uses. So here you'll see 4 different definitions that are also included in your staff report that identifies the definitions of tattoo, cosmetic tattoos, microblading, and body art. Again, these are definitions that the state has defined, and staff was recommending that if any of these were to be used as a use or restriction, that these will be the codes or language that we use. So originally when the item came before you back in March of last year, we were given direction by City Council to give language that would be for permitted uses as well as restricted uses. So staff did that. We came up with language that would be proposed for permitted uses and restricted uses. So if permitted, staff gave a recommendation to have light industrial zoning that does allow for salon style uses. Currently now, it is allowed in light industrial, so we recommended that. When showing that to the Planning Commission asked for examples of where those locations were in the city, as well as identifying what cities currently have distance requirements, and that as well as in your packet. But just to give you a little illustration tonight, your zoning map shown in red are your general commercials. Those are your general standard style uses for commercial. And then you'll see in the light pinkish purple color, that's your light industrial. So this example here is Huddleston Road. So you would not, because the land isn't purple or red, no one goes out to see and know that the zoning changes. They kind of all flow together. The uses look as if they're all in a commercial district. So they're immediately adjacent to each other. This is the location along Crosstown. As you're seeing that as well, where commercial and light industrial are immediately adjacent to each other. And then lastly, here you're gonna see where Kedron is located. It's not immediately located, but that is one location that allows for light industrial on the northern portion of our city. So staff identified language that if it was a permitted use to be placed in light industrial, there is a recommendation for a 5,000 foot distance requirement. That was because when hearing the conversations from council during that meeting, we were hearing that there were concerns about the use and just trying to find a way to keep it where it was not being oversaturated throughout the city, gave a recommendation for a distance requirement. Staff wanted to ensure that we did not give any recommendations to remove tattoo parlors. That is still being projected to remain as it currently is. That is restricted in general commercial, as well as properties rezoned to general commercial. Bless you, sorry. As a non-permitted use, we currently restrict tattoo parlors in those 2 zoning classifications as mentioned. So staff was just basically adding those uses to the restricted areas if you wanted to have the recommendation of restricting those uses. And Madam Mayor, that concludes my report.
Interesting topic, and we've had a lot of conversation about this. But this is a public hearing. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Go ahead and take the microphone, and we'll have a 5-minute limit per person. And just so I know what's ahead of us, do we have anyone else who wishes to speak in favor tonight? Thank you. You can go ahead anytime.
I thought the health department was going to be here speaking, but I guess they're not, which makes me nervous because I was not going to speak. But my name is Jessica White, and I own Perfect Peach Waxing, and I am at Peachtree Parkway and Robinson Road. So I don't know where that works in regards to the zoning, but microblading for me personally and cosmetic tattooing is kind of a big part of my business. I haven't started doing it, obviously, because it's not legal yet in Peachtree City, but I have a passion for it because I have a ton of clients who have had cancer or who have a condition where it's a nervous tic where they pull out their eyebrows or have different issues like this. And so for me, it's not so much of a pick out a design and slap it on your body type of thing. It's more of a support for people's confidence, for maybe trauma or different things that they've gone through. So I find it to be really important as far as that's concerned. As far as small business owners, I own 2 businesses here in Peachtree City, so I am a small business owner. I own a fitness studio and I also own peach waxing. So for that, I have a ton of clients who are interested in this, which I have to turn away, which sends them to other places, Noonan, Fayetteville, downtown, and so we're definitely missing out on a huge opportunity for small business owners to make money here as well. That's all I can remember off the top of my head. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I repeat, is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. And council, I've spent hours on this. Shayla and Justin have spent many, many hours on this. Peachtree City is unique in that we have a prohibition on tattoo parlors, and that's across the board. I think we might have 3 establishments in Peachtree City that do tattoos because they were grandfathered in a long time ago. So here we are trying to make a distinction in the definitions between tattooing, which to continue the prohibition, and some of these cosmetic procedures that I think a lot of us would like to be able to allow. So first question I have for Shayla, these many conversations, we've had a lot of sit-downs, and 2 people from the health department did join us this afternoon to have a real good conversation, but I think they had a conflict tonight. Are we here to be discussing only microblading, or are we discussing microblading and cosmetic tattooing?
Thank you for that question, Mayor. So since our conversations with the health department, they gave us a very distinctive way of looking at the definitions, which was very helpful, because staff would now say that the language here for cosmetic tattooing, microblading services, as well as body art are, it would be basically just microblading, because the cosmetic tattooing is very similar to your standard tattooing. So it would be just microblading that we would be considering. So if staff was to revise this based on our conversation from today, you would see where we wouldn't recommend the component that allows for cosmetic tattooing and body art to be included in this section for the permitted uses if you were to go in that direction.
Interesting. And I think it's important for council to understand that the distance requirement conversation is a conversation they have in other cities where they do not prohibit tattooing. And so they put a distance requirement in, effectively limiting the number of tattoo parlors. Okay, 5,000 feet, that's a mile, you know. That's how other cities restrict the number of tattoo parlors that then can certainly do the microblading service. So I'm not sure that works for Peachtree City because we're keeping that prohibition across the board. If anybody has any questions, I would like to hear them now, and then after the hours we've spent on this, I do have some suggestions as to next steps. Council questions?
Well, now I'm even more confused than I was.
I know. Yeah.
Because I wrote my comments or questions or whatever. I was reading through this. I have, the mayor can see, I have highlights and little tags and everything. Because my personal feeling is I don't want more tattoo parlors. I think the wise decision was made decades ago, and it ain't broke, we're not fixing it. So I think that needs to stay and remain as it is. So now I thought this was changing things, and I was going to try to make sure that we don't change what's already prohibited.
Yeah.
So I can make a prediction. We're gonna have to continue the vote for this, I think, because I'm just as confused as all.
I think
get
that's
out.
true. I'll take any more questions and then I'll make a suggestion based on our lengthy conversations with the health department. Questions?
I'm just curious if this perfect peach waxing, what did she say, Peachtree and Robinson? Do we know offhand if that's light industrial?
I haven't checked this on.
You haven't checked? Okay, I was just curious.
Ask AI.
Wait, you mean Peachtree Parkway in Robinson?
Yeah.
So you're right by the gas station?
Yes.
I live right behind you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Crescent Oak.
Like the
subdivision.
offices right
Yeah.
behind there?
Is that,
So you're right by the
that's just a
veterinarian?
commercial district?
They're my neighbors.
Sounds light industrial
It
to me,
does
but we'll
sound
check
light
on that.
industrial.
Yeah, I don't know.
So,
It may be
so
commercial.
Council, I have a suggestion. It is possible, given the really excellent definitions that we have, we can have a conversation about microblading only. And if you could move that slide 1 so that we can see the definitions, please. Oh, that's not the one. One more time. It's page 120. Oh, there it is. So if we adopt these definitions, which are carefully crafted in line with the state, we can have a conversation about adding microblading only in certain locations, like general commercial and light industrial. I would suggest that we do that and eliminate the 5,000 foot, and that we ask staff to come back to us with a solution on enforcement, because this ordinance will only be as good as it is enforceable. The, oh gosh, I'm gonna get tangled up here. Shayla, help me out. But
Gotcha.
the health department does inspections, and they would come in and inspect every 6 months. And they also have a permitting process that differentiates between microblading, tattooing, body art, which is the piercing. And if someone applies for the microblading only, then cool, and they can come out and inspect every 6 months. But can you take it from there?
I can.
Thank you.
So the actions that you're mentioning, yes, they all have different style of inspections. The health department receives an application from them. They confirm what use they will have at the site. They go out and conduct an inspection at the time of issuance for the licensing and permitting. That is done at the first initiation of the license or permit. They go out once again after 6 months, and they'll check every 6 months to inspect that property. So yes, they do go out and conduct an inspection based on the information provided during the initial application.
So we could take a look at a more effective communication system, and that being that Peachtree City will not release the occupational tax until the Department of Public Health permit is provided. And that means to us as staff. Did I say that right?
Yes, ma'am. We spoke with the health department to try to determine a way that we could work with this process. I will say it was left to say that we need to figure out that process because we don't have that yet defined. But we are willing to work to see how we can make that work.
Is that reasonable?
I believe it can be.
Would it be, and I want to point out that the Planning Commission studied this with a certain set of parameters, and what they came back to us is, if we want to make it a permitted use, use this verbiage, and if we want to make it a non-permitted use, use this verbiage. But I submit that there's a different conversation to be had, and I think if we decide to direct staff, as Suzanne said, to take a look at microblading only, eliminate the 5,000 feet, look at allowing it in general, commercial, and light industrial only, and then establish this communications channel with the Department of Public Health for enforceability. I think we can come back to council with something that we could probably get behind.
Yep. That's good.
Okay, just answer my question.
Yeah.
So, microblading is really like very light upper layers coloration.
Yes, so microblading is a form of tattooing. It is a lighter version, different ink, but it gives a lesser of a long-term effect than a standard tattoo, but it still gives a tattooing function.
Okay, so beyond that would be considered body art, which would be the form of tattooing that we have banned all over the city, with the exception of our 3 grandfathered places.
So
correct?
that, yes, that and cosmetic tattooing, those are
Okay.
all considered the standard tattooing that we typically have.
Okay. See, I got kind of like twisted with the discussion of referring to it as cosmetic tattooing versus the body art tattooing, and I'm like, which is which? You know, how do you know, where's the crossover? And because I'm looking at it like, if you're doing permanent makeup tattooing and calling that cosmetic tattooing, that's the same as body art tattooing as far as the depth, correct?
Correct. According to the health department, again, the mayor has mentioned that we've met with them. Their conversation is that the microblading component is a different ink. It's the same exact instrument to install, and it's just a different, I guess the different depth of the skin determines which is which. A permanent, more so, cosmetic tattooing will have a deeper layer into the skin, but then microblading is not that in depth.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think the microblading would be the way to go, and leave the other stuff still the way it is.
Staff, does what I said make sense? I ticked through some bullet points, and is it reasonable to come back with the verbiage that we need?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do I need a motion on this? We had our
Make a
public.
motion to continue it to a future meeting.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion that we continue this to a different date in the future when staff is ready.
You want to do the second meeting in March? Is
That could work, yes.
Yeah.
And second meeting in March 2026.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks very much. It was very, very time consuming, and staff did a great job. Public hearing 22607, consider a text amendment to section 917 of the city's code of ordinances related to short-term rentals. Shayla Reed.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so just as well as a reminder of the actions held on this item, it was initiated by City Council August 21st. Your Planning Commission heard it on January 26th and has provided their comments and recommendations to you inside of their staff report or inside of my staff report. And we're here tonight to move forward with the action either way. As mentioned previously, this item is discussing the World Cup during the timing of June 1st through July 31st. It is where property owners could have for their homes to be identified as short-term rental without being required to receive a permit or being required to pay any fees. They are given the opportunity to have the advantages spelled out in the Augusta rule, where they're able to earn an income for 14 days or less without having to be subjected to income taxes. You're seeing here in red the proposed language that would be identified as the text amendment if approved. With that said, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you. With that, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing. Council, again, I would like to start because our Planning Commission took this on, and I watched the video, they had a very responsible conversation, and they had concerns about protecting our Peachtree City citizens during this period of time. So it seems that there were two main themes that our Planning Commission members were concerned about, and they were very diligent in this. One was requiring a registration, and the other was establishing a reliable point of contact for the purpose of public safety and protecting Peachtree City citizens. I did summarize that and called Scott Rittenauer, the Planning Commission chair, and he agreed that those I don't want to speak for other people, but he agreed those were the two salient points. And so I wrote an email to the Housing Bureau and Fayette Forward President, Mayor Eric Dial, and this is what he came back with as far as assuring us that those 2 points would be covered. Number one, the back end of the Soccer Housing Bureau website will contain info for all registered property owners, including the property owner's contact info. Mayor Dial will have access to this info and has agreed to share it with city managers, updated on a weekly basis starting in mid-May. The registration information, interestingly, will be different from properties listed versus properties rented, because there's a difference. You might list your house and then you don't get any takers, or you decide later that you don't want to rent it out. You're in the listing, but you don't have a renter. As of today, which was about 2 weeks ago, 12 properties in Peachtree City were listed and none so far were rented. Note that HOAs still have the authority to prohibit rentals if that's what their documents state. So Mayor Dial followed up even after that with clarification that the primary point of contact will be the homeowner, but if they are unavailable, the Housing Bureau will be the local contact. So I want to thank our Planning Commission. They take up every detail that we don't think of and ask questions maybe we wouldn't have asked. So I appreciate their hard work on this. Maybe we'll start on the end with the soccer player.
Well, I'm certainly all in support of this, given the follow-up that we had and the clarification of the concerns that we had from the Planning Commission. So appreciate Mayor Dial for following up and providing those details. And if folks want to make some extra cash this summer, they're more than welcome to. I do hope that we can just educate our homeowners of what the process is. So hopefully we can send out an infographic and clarify some points for them so they're fully educated before they go into this.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson?
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I think there's definitely some differences that we have here in our short-term rental, so it's just, making sure our citizens are aware. But I think, we have a big opportunity with World Cup coming here, and I think it's great for our area, and I'd love to support it.
Okay, Ms. Brown?
I agree, we definitely need to have the people register. And I too checked out the soccerhousingbureau.com and saw that there were 12 listings on there already. One of the other things, the contact person is a big thing that was discussed heavily by the Planning Commission, but there was also something else that they talked about. Mr. Chris had made a suggestion that copies of our short-term rental guidelines should be provided to all homeowners who list their property during the suspension, just so that they would know kind of what we would normally require.
Expect.
And I mean, it can be done, just email them a copy of it, it doesn't have to be a paper copy. But I think that that's good. The only other thing that I was kind of curious about is, I did look at the dates for the games in Atlanta. The first game is on June 15th, which is a Monday, and there are a total of 8 games, and the last game is on July the 15th. So I was kind of wondering whether we should narrow the dates just ever so slightly, which would be significant. If we're doing this just for the World Cup games, then there's really no point in doing it way in advance or way after the games are, before they start and after they're over. So I was going to suggest that we possibly consider that the window of opportunity for this would only be from Saturday, June 13th, through Sunday, July 19th. That would effectively take about 4 weeks out of the mix. I mean, we're basically throwing out our short-term rental policy, and what I looked at very carefully when I came to this conclusion was that the Augusta rule, which is what we're really trying to put in place here, the equivalent of, the Augusta rule is only for 2 weeks. And the golf tournament starts on a Thursday and it ends on a Sunday. So you get the week leading up to the Masters and the week after, and that's it. That's when they allow their thing to be in place. So that's why I was thinking maybe we should just kind of like hone in on the exact dates, and that would be my only request. Otherwise, I'm in support of this.
All right, Mr. Holland?
Yeah, I'm in full support of this, and I do like what Councilwoman Brown has said about narrowing, but there's always things like delays, there's weather, there's people moving in and moving out, they are on the last day, and if they don't move out right away, are they over the limit? I would stretch it just a little bit more to give the people moving in and moving out a little bit more time, and not so narrow, Ms. Brown, to maybe expand that out just a little bit more. Doesn't mean we have to go all the way from June 1st to July 31st, but maybe narrow it down, but not necessarily too much narrowing. Just in case there is some delays and things in the games and all of that. You just never know what's going to happen with sports events. Otherwise, I'm very much in favor of this.
Council, I would suggest that as advertised, this is for, as written, the period of June 1st through July 31st, and that the five of us should probably stay on the balcony and not the dance floor. And maybe we could go
like to
ahead.
dance.
Yeah, well, I would suggest that we go ahead and get a motion for the period suggested.
Madam Mayor, if I just ask, where did that time frame come from?
That I gave?
No, just the
Oh.
June 1 to July 31. Was that at the local, or is that replicated from somewhere else?
It came from the housing bureau.
I think it came from council. I think that was the suggestion, was that 2-month time period.
Okay.
I don't know that anybody had researched the exact dates of the
No.
games
I agree.
in Atlanta, so I went ahead and I did that, and I think some of the local renters, short-term rental people are gonna have problems because there's one game on like the 15th, which is a Monday, and a different game with two different teams on Thursday. So people are gonna be coming and going. It's not gonna be really, long stays. So, I mean, there's games on the 15th, 18th, 21st, just 3 days later, 24th, 27th of June, and then in July, the 1st, the 7th, and the 15th, because by then you get into more like the playoffs. So, or semifinals, or whatever you want to call it, but
I think part of it was too. This is just me. I don't know if it was said in a council meeting or not, so don't quote me on it, even though I'm quoting here. Is we could end up getting families of players or anything. We don't know, so they'll be here early to train, and they may stay late. Like, we don't know. So I know the June 1st date was people may be coming early. July 31st. I mean, it just kind of, I guess that was probably just a nice round 2 months. But I know that early was considered because of people may come early.
Well, and I think, this is a worldwide event. If I'm going to another nation for one thing, probably I might stay there for a week or two. I'm not moving out as soon as that game is over. It's a quite an investment for these people to come here that distance, and I would say we should encourage them to stay and to spend.
That's exactly.
Madam Mayor, I'll take back my account, what I said before. I think it makes good sense that we keep it right where it is at June 1st through July 31st. I know I'm backtracking a bit here, but you're right. We could have people coming in, do a little vacationing in our country, staying here in Peachtree City, spending more money here. I think we should be accommodating, so I think I'd like to leave it right where it is, so I'll take back what I said earlier.
All right, Council, can I get a motion?
I'll make it if it will.
Sure, go ahead.
Yep. Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we can approve it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve public hearing item 02-2607, the text amendment to section 917 of the Code of Ordinances related to short-term rental.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Council staff topics?
Oh,
yes.
you go.
No, you go ahead first. I
Oh,
gotta find my notes.
I just had one. Kenneth Hamner reached out to us in an email. He will, in the future, no longer be serving on the Planning Commission, but would like to still continue work on the UDO committee. He asked that we rewrite the requirements for that committee. I think right now it is those serving on the Planning Commission who are able to serve on the UDO committee, and changing that to anyone who currently is or has served on the Planning Commission to be able to serve. So
I would support that.
I would support that.
Same.
All right.
Okay. Who needs to make the change?
I think
Staff
it just gets
will-
put on
staff will
the
take care of it.
agenda,
Okay,
right?
good.
All right, anybody else?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Brown?
Go ahead.
Okay. Two. One's lighter than the other, so I'll save the lighter one for the end. Y'all may have heard about all the Pine Gate fiber installation issues. I didn't know it'd be 6 weeks into this term that I'd get so impassioned about a topic. I find it absolutely unacceptable what those residents went through with the fiber installation, the hitting of 4 different water lines being out of water. And I want to first thank Justin and staff and county for meeting with AT&T leadership, which ended up in a stop work order, ended up in that subcontractor being fired and them hiring a new one. But I don't want it to happen again. And who's to say it won't? And if we need to put more teeth into something to ensure that we protect our residents, because it's one thing they come in and tear up their lawn. And I think a lot of us also want fiber. So like, there is a side there of this is just part of modernizing infrastructure around the country and here in Peachtree City. But some of it is just unacceptable. And if we need to find more teeth or do something in ordinance or something to strengthen something, I'm more than happy to help research that. But I just don't want it to happen to another neighborhood, because a lot of them are still dealing with it. They're having to come out of pocket to make repairs and costs, everything that was associated with some of the water line breaks. So that's my one. I don't know exactly the next direction. Maybe that's just a topic we can discuss later and see. But Ted and Joseph, if you all have anything to add, but if not, I can move on to the lighter item.
I could have sworn we did some sort of a right-of-way encroachment ordinance where they have to do certain things. Let me double check that and make sure that we have done that and get back to you with what we have on the books.
Dave runs it, so Dave can speak to how the process works.
We do, Ted. We have a right-of-way permit application. And that's why we were involved with the water system with the meeting with AT&T, because we issue the permits and whatnot. So we do have a process. They submit plans, all that stuff. So those cases that happened recently, they were AT&T admitted they were the fault of the subcontractor doing the work. So
Does our ordinance say that they have to leave it as they found it? Does it say it in there?
Yes,
Yeah.
they have to repair what they do, and Cinnamon's pretty much the watchdog on that. She gets on them.
So I was going to say, since you're new councilman, and I don't know if the rest of the council knows this, but Cinnamon, who's our admin for Public Works and Engineering, she does a very good job of staying on them and making sure that they do go back. And then citizens will report to us, like, they tore up my yard, they haven't been back. Cinnamon will go after them and make sure. And a lot of other cities and counties, that doesn't happen. But we try to hound them and stay on them until they come back and do it. But the tricky part is we do permit it, but they do have the right, to work in their easements. So it's a balancing act, and unfortunately, this situation happened with the subcontractor.
So we just hope that AT&T selects a better subcontractor moving forward.
Yeah.
And then, so thank you again for the response, because it was immediate, and staff came to the table quick. The other one, I just want to give a shout out to us in the consent agenda. We passed paid parental leave for our city employees, 6 weeks paid, and it's something I think as a city we pride ourselves in being families first, and us replicating this as a dais, as a council, and it's a cost-effective method to attract families and also recruit and retain the next generation of city employees. So I'm just proud of this dais for approving that earlier. So thank you.
Wonderful. Ms. Brown?
Yes, I tried to reach out to Justin earlier today. That didn't work out. I had a secondary issue to talk to you about, Justin. I wanted to do it not on the dais, but I think I'll talk about it on the dais. But one of the things that we discussed at our retreat was using the resource officers from PD during the summer on the cart path system to try to get a little bit of control of some of the violations and stuff. What I wanted to toss out as a possibility is there some unused salary money that we could authorize, whether auxiliary overtime, something with PD, to maybe start that earlier? Because people are, I don't know whether I'd like to not necessarily have to wait all the way until school's out to start seeing a little bit, not a huge amount.
I'll defer to Chief.
A little bit of enforcement.
if you haven't noticed this week, we've had somebody on the path every day this week. So we are taking a look at staffing models and scheduling. Knock on wood, we are currently fully staffed. So that puts our budget, there's not a lot of excess in the budget savings as far as salary expenses, but we will take a look and we are monitoring that. I had a staff meeting this Tuesday afternoon. We discussed a staff retreat and what the plans were going to be. And so the patrol commanders are aware and they're trying to take measures to make sure they're out there a little more.
We did have a resident tonight ask us what the vehicle was
What the
out at
smart
Battery
car
Way
was.
today, and it was the little smart vehicle.
Yeah.
So when somebody was out there today, and then to caveat what you said, you did reach out to me. You called my work phone, and I've been running around all day. So I have been working. I said you should have called my cell
And then
phone.
what everybody doesn't know is I tried to catch him in the hall before and dropped my water bottle and the glass went everywhere.
Anything
So
else,
had
Ms.
to
Brown?
clean that up. All right.
Anything else?
No, I'm done.
Ms. Johnson, did you have council staff topic?
I already did it.
Mr. Holland?
I'm gonna surprise Ted and say, Ted, I don't have anything for the second meeting.
All right. Do we have executive session?
We do, we need to discuss, I marked both, but it's just pending or threatened litigation this evening.
I need a motion.
I move that we go to executive session for pending and threatening litigation.